romance readers, I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. Screenwriters and debut authors Juliet and Keith Giglio join me to discuss their rom-com, The Summer of Christmas. And Juliet and Keith play Brainstorm Sesh, Holiday Romance Novel Edition. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, Juliet and Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Congrats on the release of your debut rom-com, The Summer of Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How did you celebrate? Did you do anything special?
Oh my God. When did it come out? When did it come out?
It came out July 5th.
July
so
5th.
we were actually in LA, when it came out.
That's right.
Okay.
And we celebrated by driving around and looking at some bookstores.
That's right.
Where we saw our book, and it was very exciting to see.
So it's kind of like opening of a movie. You go around, look where your movie's playing. But this is like,
Yeah.
you walk in and it's like, imagine you go into a theater and there are like 600 other titles right next to it.
Right. Yeah.
A little more intimidating. But we celebrated by that, having lunch with an old friend. It was a great day.
Which bookstores in Los Angeles did you visit?
So we were in LA and we went to see the Rip Bodice,
Right.
where we had our launch, which was very exciting.
Oh, I didn't know
also-
that you had it there. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Did
it's
a
nice,
lovely
yeah.
store. They were terrific.
Uh-huh.
And then we also went over to Barnes and Noble and the Grove,
And a couple of
because
Ooh.
that's where the book
Began.
begins. And so it was fun to see the book there as well.
So it's a wonderful experience. It's funny. My favorite experience in life
Yeah.
prior to this creatively.
Getting married?
No, but I said creatively.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I said creative,
Uh-oh.
not whatever word for that is. Was walking onto a film studio lot, right? And that's been matched by walking into a bookstore and seeing your book there.
Oh, nice.
Very exciting. Looking for that pink cover. Like,
Yeah,
it's awesome.
that's a great cover. That's a great cover. Did you have, usually authors don't have a whole lot of say-so over the final cover art, but
No.
were you asked at any point?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Okay.
they asked us a lot of details and we gave them some great input on the cover, and then they followed none of it.
And
they
rejected
came-
everything.
which was
It came up with a
great.
much better idea.
Much better idea.
Much better.
And we love the cover that Source Books came up with.
Yes.
It's brilliant.
Oh, wait. So what did you suggect that was rejected?
You know, we had
First
something
of all,
like
like us on the cover.
Oh, well,
No.
okay.
we had something like where we had both people on the cover and a Christmas tree behind them.
And a movie's camera, and they're
No,
back
no,
to
no.
back.
What they came up with was brilliant.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
I remember when they sent it to us, we were like, wow, it's great. Because we
Yeah.
know that a lot of times authors struggle with the cover. This was
Yes.
not the case with us.
Right.
We were like, yes, it's great. At its core, it's about the making of a Christmas movie in upstate New York.
In the middle of summer, at the height of summer, where people are kind of stuck in parkers and
Sweaters.
Canadian goose coats, but really they're hot and bothered on the inside because we have this writer, Ivy Green, who's returning to her hometown to get a movie film, which is based on her relationship with
Her ex,
Yeah.
who happens to still live in that town and now owns a winery,
Yeah.
which we love. And when we were writing the book, we actually did a lot of research on this.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time.
We took one for the team. We had to go to wineries and learn more about how that occurs.
So it's about, I guess it's about a second chance romance during the
Yes.
making of a Christmas movie.
We love the Pirandello aspect of a writer writing about their own life and then having to encounter that.
You have Ivy being played by Amari during the making of the movie, and Amari falling for Ivy's old boyfriend, and Nick not sure what's going on with anything. So we love that type of comedy. We love that kind of screwball, farcical,
Yes.
with
Yeah.
hilarity and hearts. We like to
Right.
think it has both.
In the true screwball sense, we love having the other characters around, like
Yeah.
everyone else. It's not just about the main characters, it's about other characters like falling in love, discovering that they're not too old to fall in love, or
Right. Because
however it's going.
like any movie, play, book, the secondary characters think they're the lead. And they think the story is happening to them. And that's the
Yep.
best way to write, that everyone has their character arc and everyone thinks the story is theirs.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Where were you and what were you doing when the idea for the summer of Christmas took shape in your minds?
Well, so we've been writing Christmas movies.
Right.
Mhm.
And we've been going to the sets each time. So we've had 4 Christmas movies made.
Right.
And during that period, we started to think like, oh, it'd be fun to make a movie about, a book about the making.
No, the first we first conceived of it as a movie, but then we were approached to write books, and like, whoa, this is a fun idea.
Yeah.
So that one came up pretty quick.
Right.
Yeah,
and so actually there was an agent who reached out to us who said, I love your Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider writing a Christmas book?
Oh.
And we sort of looked at each other and thought,
Sure.
oh,
That's
we've
right.
never tried that before. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And we had one idea. We pitched it to her and she loved it. And she was able to sell it to Sourcebooks.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a fantastic journey to publication. You are both screenwriters who are married to each other.
Yeah.
How much of your personal lives did you inject into Ivy and Nick's story? Oh, yes.
Notice she put up 2 fists. Notice I was like showing off my ring, like I'm so.
I was showing both
And
rings.
she's like, I'm gonna punch you out. I'm gonna punch you out. That's
How many years have you been
That
married?
right there.
A long time.
Okay.
Too many to mention.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So how much of
Even
your
prisoners have done less time than we have together.
day-to-day made it into Ivy and Nick, or maybe not at all?
A little bit in the sense of, I don't know.
You said you got
I know,
it.
I said
You
it.
started
Well-
it. You finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. A little bit, not a lot. But the sense that maybe, look, we did not know each other since the age of 8. And that's not a spoiler,
That's
but
different. But
yeah. So that was different.
So
we
we-
didn't
Right.
meet until graduate school.
right.
But we've
we
known
met
each other a
cute,
long time.
and, we've had a great we've lived our own great romance.
Mhm.
And there was a period after our second baby where we stopped working together. And I
Oh.
kind of moved out of the house, just my office out of the house. And
Okay.
that's kind of the breakup here. That's kind of the break.
Right. So we had a little bit of a breakup like
Yeah.
they do in the book.
I'm always fascinated by how co-authors work, how they write together. How did you divvy up the writing responsibilities?
Well,
Do you write in the same room?
Yeah, that joke still doesn't work. That's just,
You know what we do is we spend a lot of time breaking the story.
right.
Mhm.
And so we go over it and we figure out the character arcs and who's going to be in the book and things like that. So we spent a lot of time doing that.
Okay.
And then this was our first time writing a novel. So usually when we write a screenplay, we write it a lot together.
Mhm.
But in the case of a novel, it was too big to do that. We
Right.
couldn't sit together side by
Right,
side,
yeah.
writing each sentence. So we divided up the chapters.
Uh-huh.
And what was interesting with this was because we would go every other chapter, but inevitably in writing a chapter, I might discover I need to create this new character. And then I would tell Keith about it. And I'm like,
Next
"Hey, I created
chapter,
this new
I
character."
kill off that new character.
Or he would continue on that character.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so that worked really well. And then we would reread each other's
But-
material.
But to start it off,
Okay.
we've had this years of being semi-successful screenwriters. So
Yes.
we kind of followed that process. And it was during COVID, and we just got a giant board, and we put our cards up on there,
Okay.
and we just kind of realized that we have a certain number of words to fulfill, and then just do the math. What do we need to hit the midpoint? And we always thought that. I always found like commercial fiction is like
Mhm.
movies and TV shows where about 90 pages in, you kind of
Yeah.
find out what's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the end
Right.
of the first
That's
act.
typically the end of the first act.
Yeah.
If it's a
But the
movie.
great thing is that in a script, a father will throw a baseball to his son and it'll hit the kid in the head. In a novel, the father will throw the baseball to the son. And as it sailed in the air, he remembered the day his son was born and how much he thought life would be perfect. But then Janine left him. And then
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. 5 pages later, baseball hits the kid in the head.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Writing a script is very different. You won't
Mhm.
typically you have to keep
yeah.
it to 100 pages.
Right,
It's
right.
very succinct. Get to the point. Whereas a
Yes.
novel, we had so much more room to
Loved
breathe.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. So now being you alternated chapters, that means that you both had to write the same characters.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yeah,
There were
okay.
times where I would try to lean more into Ivy and you would lean more into
That sure
Nick.
makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes we would do that.
Right.
Gotcha.
But then we would rewrite each other's chapters too. So
Okay.
we would make sure there was like some flow to it.
Huh?
Gotcha. Okay.
It is a challenge. You're right.
No, it is. I mean, there had to have been some arguments, right?
Not really.
Yeah,
No? Okay.
Why would we argue? We're married. We work together. Why would we ever argue?
Okay. I'm bringing my own experiences because if I were to sit down with my husband and write a novel, I would kill him. I would kill him. So I would kill him 6 times over because his opinions are very strong and he'll push for, well, this should be how you do it. And I'd be, pushing back. So I just assume that a husband and wife would probably be
We're like
butting heads on.
We've written together for so long that we kind of trust each other. So if Keith really pushes back on an idea I have, I'll be like, think of it again. But if he pushes back on, if I push back on one of his ideas anyway, I'll consider it or whatever.
Gotcha.
But
happy wife, happy life.
Which one of you do you consider to be the funniest or the rom-comediest when writing?
So I think Keith is the funniest.
I always go for the joke.
But I'm the rom-comediest. So I'm more the romance. He will go for the joke. And there'll be times where I'll be like, even today we were rewriting something and I'm like, I need a joke right here.
Yeah.
And like he came up with it right there.
Oh, that's cool.
It is great.
It's a very weird talent to have.
But I'm better with the
some people
romance.
can cure diseases. I can come up with a joke.
So I think we balance each other out really well.
And the summer of Christmas really kind of reflects on our lives. We met in New York City, right? A great, cute meet in the elevator. And
yes, I was going to ask about that. So please tell me the story.
We have the official meet cute.
We both.
We were going to NYU grad. Keith
Film
was
school.
there. Film school. And Tish. Keith he was there a year ahead of me.
I went straight from college to NYU Film School, graduate. Julia took a year off, so she technically was a year behind me. And so the first year was probationary at that time. They changed that since then. Okay. So I'd gotten through the first year, but I knew the pressure that first year students have. So when Juliet walked into the elevator that I was
on
in,
the 10th floor
with a couple of friends, I could see she was really stressed out. So me being the very kind of nice person,
remember he makes the joke. Remember, yeah. He made a joke at my expense.
I did,
and I hate to say it, but it made me laugh.
That's right.
And I remember smiling at him and thinking, oh, he was kind of cute. And he was flirting with me. And we went from 10 floors down to the first floor and we were chatting the whole time.
Yeah.
But we didn't start dating till 3 months later.
Right, 3 months later.
Oh, so how did you meet up again after that interaction?
It was a small film school. I mean, it's a small program. Everyone helped
so you just kept running into each other?
Like, for example, that night, there was a screening of Rocky, one of my favorite movies. And I went by myself. And Julia came in. I thought she'd sit next to me, and she blew me off.
That's not true.
That's true.
I was just feeling kind of shy
Rocky.
and didn't want to. Like you were like, "Come sit with me." I'm like,
"I'm fine." It was Rocky.
I was a first year.
You were top there.
That's awesome.
No, but I worked in the equipment room, and so I kept seeing him.
Right, and then we'd run into each other, and then finally we wound up on another
student
script. Production.
A student film, yeah.
A student film.
And so we had our job. We were tasked with making fake drinks that the actors could. So we had to kind of put.
So we first met in October, and that was in February.
Yeah.
And then he just made me laugh. So
okay.
So we kept flirting, and we got fired off that movie.
Yeah.
But
and we unbelievably got married during film school.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
It's really not the best way to do it.
No, we got married after only a year of knowing each other and during grad school. We later heard that at our wedding, a lot of our friends were taking bets that we weren't going to make it.
Yeah, I bet against us. I lost about $100.
Not bet against us.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, if your friends were reacting that way, were your parents feeling the same thing?
No,
having met all the people I was involved with prior, when Julia came along, I think they were thrilled. be great.
No, my parents were all in. Keith knew how to fix the toilet
Oh my
at
God.
my parents' DC house.
That was a big party.
And that was a game changer.
Oh no, I
for
had to
them.
call a plumber. I go, I think I can do this. I took off my suit jack and fixed the plumbing.
They loved him.
No,
They did.
Well, competency is very attractive. I always look so carefully at the names of characters.
yes.
And I think that there's a real art to it. Your characters, from Ivy and Nick, to all the supporting characters, who's in charge of naming? Is there meaning behind it? Or are you just looking in a, baby names book?
we had dinner with Ivy Green last week.
There's a little bit of both.
We did. Ivy Green is I worked
She's
with
real.
Green on Cinderella Story, and his wife was an old friend too.
And her
Ivy
name was
Green
Ivy.
from LA.
We love the name Ivy,
Love
and
it.
it fit perfectly with A Christmas Story.
Yes.
Green is a color
And
Christmas.
green
Mhm.
was perfect for A
And-
Christmas
and-
Story.
and without
then
Ivy-
Nick, obviously Nicholas, Saint Nick.
Right.
I figured that, yeah.
And Ivy, you can't have Ivy without Poison Ivy. And that's
Yeah.
why that happened.
And that
Yeah.
worked out well. And,
And
then
then,
Nick Shepherd, he's Shepherd, it's kind of
Flock.
Christmassy, a flock.
Mhm.
And then a lot of
Bruce
the
Danton is a combination of two friends we knew in LA who were both assistant directors and rivals.
right, a lot of the
Nice.
subsidiary characters are based on people we know.
In a future novel, would you write a character, Liz Donatelli?
Of course.
Yes. So my best friend from college, her name is Liz, and I owe her. I saw her the other day, and she's like, "Why haven't you put me in your book yet?"
Yeah.
And so, okay, so we'll
Yeah.
do a Liz.
You have to do, and you have to throw Donatelli in there. Someone eats at a pizzeria named Donatelli Pizzeria or
You
something.
do that.
Okay, we could do that. You know,
I'll be
so
reading
we'll
to
do
make
that.
sure. So you've co-written Lifetime movies,
Yeah.
Christmas in Tune,
Yeah.
Dear Christmas,
Yeah.
Christmas Reservations,
Yeah.
and A Very Nutty Christmas. I know someone who wrote a script for a competing network,
Yeah.
writing a holiday movie. And they said that one of the rules was of writing a script for this other channel was that you couldn't have the female protagonist making herself a cup of coffee because it was sad, and they always had to buy their coffee.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, what guidelines have you had to follow in writing Lifetime holiday movies?
So
They were-
in general, one of the things is they don't really kiss until near the end.
Right.
And typically they don't kiss till the end.
Mhm.
And
That's okay.
yeah, that's fair.
That's a
And-
rom-com trope.
And there was a period where Lifetime didn't want anyone to be divorced.
But we fixed
And
that.
so there
Yeah.
was, and as a result, there were a lot of widowers.
Yeah, Disney had that too.
Right.
Yeah.
And Disney did that as well.
Yeah, we can't talk about the yeah.
But those were two interesting things.
But it was
But in
pretty
terms of people drinking coffee or whatever, that never heard of that. Or
Yeah, we had drinks.
we had drinks.
we had a
things like
Bollywood
that.
dance in one of our movies.
We had a Bollywood dance. Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that.
It's kind of fun.
Christmas
Yeah.
res.
They
Yeah.
gave us a lot of leeway, which was very nice. And
Mhm.
the interesting one was Dear Christmas. That was supposed to be a lot bigger.
Right.
That was supposed to be
And
yeah.
the script was locked, and the script was locked in February of 2020. And then it was all set to go into production 2 months later. But we all know what happened. We had this
Yeah.
major pandemic. And so as a result, they said, could you rewrite it so that we could still film this?
So it's
And so we did. And it was actually the second movie filmed during the pandemic out of any movie filmed.
and so
and-
so if there's
yeah.
a big party going on, we're in the kitchen.
Right.
If there was a concert that night, we saw the rehearsal.
Right.
If
If there was going to be a big fireman's ball,
Someone
the
came
main
late.
character was late
Yeah.
and she missed it.
Yeah.
And it was a lovely movie.
That's
with
a fun
Melissa-
thing to do.
Yeah, it was
a lot
actually
of fun.
really fun. It was with Melissa
Yeah.
Joan Hart and
Yeah,
Jason Priestley. They did a great job.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. As a result, it was much more character based because we weren't
Yeah.
relying on
Vaguely,
like big
yeah.
set pieces.
Have you
Right.
gotten to mingle with the actors or okay? Oh, that's
Except for that COVID set, we always
Right.
go to all.
That's
the
right.
COVID.
COVID set we didn't go to.
No, we.
But the
couldn't.
Reba set, we hung out with Reba and she was
She
lovely.
was lovely.
Yeah.
John
Oh.
Schneider was great.
Right.
Oh,
Melissa's
gosh.
wonderful.
That's what's fun about the films. With the books, we just have to hang out with each other.
Are you currently working on a second novel?
We
Yes.
are. So when we
Okay.
sold the first book, when we sold Summer of Christmas,
Mhm.
we also had a second book deal. And so we are working on that right now. It's
The-
coming out October 3rd.
the
of
working
2023.
title
No, don't give me working
I
title.
won't get the working title. That one is very much autobiographical.
Yes.
That really
the
covers
second
our-
book is
Yeah.
very.
our stories in LA.
Really?
In LA.
The second book is more of a true Christmas book and takes place all in
Okay.
LA.
Mhm.
And it's about a movie that's being made during the Christmas period, but it's not a Christmas movie, but it's a Christmas book. Yeah.
Right, where the couple has broken up because they couldn't sell anything. And then finally, he has to call her and say, you need to come back to LA. We have to do a rewrite of this project, which kind of came out of our lives. So the one part we didn't work together, I wound up meeting with Sylvester Stallone on a project, and he remembered a script that Julie and I wrote. And he goes, yeah, I want to work on that one with you and Juliet. And so I had to call Juliet and said, you have to come to meet Stallone tomorrow. Nothing happened with the movie, but the studio liked Juliet a lot better than me. I'm getting a 2-picture deal there.
And then we just kept writing together after that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that
basically, our writing career is like the only good line in Godfather 3. Just when I was out, they pulled me back in.
So I'm going to throw out some words and phrases, and then you will work your brainstorming magic to give me an elevator pitch for a holiday romance novel incorporating the words and phrases. Candy canes, friends to lovers, Newark, Ohio, which is where I live, and Liz Donatelli, Christmas ornament artisan.
Upstart Candy Company is out of Ohio, is looking for someone to do their cover art, and they bring in Liz. And Nick is already working there, and she knew him from college, right? And
he broke up with her in the middle of his frat formal, and she never wanted to see him again.
Right.
But what she didn't know was that he had to move home because his dad was sick.
Right.
And
he's in charge, and his company is like a supply chain thing. So she needs him to move the candy canes.
And that's right. And he is embarrassed to admit that he had to break up. But meanwhile, he's engaged to somebody else, but really is never forgotten about her.
Right.
And when she shows up again, he realizes what's wrong with this fiance, and he just wants to spend time with her.
He wants to
Hot chocolate, enemies to lovers, North Pole, New York, a town I made up, and Noel, the owner of Mrs. Claus Matchmaking Company.
Oh, that's a lot. Okay, so
upstate New York.
Upstate New York, a woman owns a little coffee shop. She makes the best hot chocolates. People kind of drive through to get these hot chocolates. She's always talking to Noel.
Noel.
That's her, like, her mentor.
And there's a businessman who's coming in from New York City.
Right.
And his family lives up there.
He hates going up there.
Enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
And
and so he has been sent up there to kind of give her an offer to buy out the company, because he wants to sell it to Nestle or Hershey. Hershey wants the recipe, but she doesn't want to give him the recipe. She wants to be, she wants her company bought and have more money. He just wants to buy her out, kill her business. And
but she really dislikes him because he reminds her of her ex.
Well, if they're frenemies to enemies, then they grew up together.
Well,
Enemies to lovers. There's also Mrs. Claus Matchmaking Company. So how would you?
That's the mentor. Mrs. Claus is the person who comes in every day and talks to her about wanting to fix her up, wanting to fix her up.
Yeah, that's right. So he's actually but I think he's flying up there. He needs to get married because in his company he never dates anybody, and so he goes up there for matchmaking.
He has to get married?
It's a matchmaking thing. Well, he has to. Why else would he matchmake?
Well, I mean, it's just dating. It's not,
Okay. I said you go back. He goes up there to for matchmaking because he's not meeting anybody, and he really, like, his sister's already married. So he goes up there for matchmaking, and while he's there, he meets this girl, and he thinks
he's a journalist. He's a journalist. And he's doing.
Get rid of the businessman.
He's doing a magazine article on this matchmaker, Mrs. Claus, right? And
So
no one
he's
can
been
believe
hired,
this happened.
Or forget Let's look. He's
So
doing a
he's
video.
cyn- he's
He's doing
cynical.
a video.
He's doing a video.
Okay.
He's doing a
Yeah.
YouTube video. He does these-
Right.
And
And
so
he's really
going
cynical,
there,
and there's been all the success stories, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Hey, if you want to like hook up, it's not hook up."
and he's
if you wanna
incredibly
get a mate-
cynical. He's
Yes.
incredibly
Okay.
cynical
He's like,
about
Yeah.
"This can't work," and he gets up there, and while he's there, there's this amazing hot chocolate.
Yeah.
And
He finds
he
the owner.
goes, he finds the owner, and oh, does she own both businesses?
No, she owns a hot chocolate company. Mrs. Claus is her friend. So Mrs. Claus is like, no, you two, not yet. Mrs. Claus starts introducing other people. She
Oh,
gets
okay.
shows. all
So
that
for
stuff.
some reason,
Okay.
he's gonna have to stay around
Yeah.
in this town.
No, he's doing the
and
article. He's doing,
He's doing
the,
well,
he's doing a
okay.
video piece. He's doing a documentary, whatever it is.
He's doing a
A
short
news
job.
piece, a news film. He's
Okay.
filming a news segment.
Right, and he was very cynical about it.
Yeah.
And then she sets him up with the owner of the hot chocolate company.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
sit here and listen to you guys just like playing off each other. Okay, I have one more. Sugar cookies. We have fake dating,
Okay.
Friendlyville, Vermont, which I made up, and a character who is a real estate mogul named Bob Humbug.
So Bob Humbug works for like a Mr. What's the guy's name? Marley. He works for Marley.
Okay.
Yeah, and see, he's assigned just before Christmas to kind of go up. It doesn't matter because he hates Christmas. He's
Right.
always hated Christmas, Bob Humbug. But he goes up there, and what does he have to do?
I don't know. I'm thinking more. You started in Vermont. You got sugar cookies, and it's like another Christmas season, and it feels like the same as last year. And every year is the same. And she's always making these sugar cookies, and her life is always the same. And she wants it to be something different. And then she's like, you know what? I need a new place to live. And so she meets up with that guy.
I think Bob Humbug is assigned to go up to this place in Vermont, which isn't even on a map. And he finds it in the middle of a snowstorm, and it's like Brigadoon.
Ooh.
Whole
Oh,
place-
I love Brigadoon.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah,
place
maybe.
is the whole place is a Christmas village.
Okay, but she should also be tired of her life.
Right.
I
She
think
wants to
that-
get
yeah.
out of that.
She
Christmas
wants to get
village.
out. So she thinks this
Yeah.
is annoying and wants to get out. And he's like, no,
This is fantastic.
This is fantastic. This is the dream.
Yeah.
And because, yeah, that actually might work.
That works. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've successfully brainstormed.
A lot of fun.
That was fun. Thank you.
Have I like excited your synapses enough that you're going to start like writing right after this interview?
Well, I don't know.
Maybe we'll
Maybe.
put it into the well. Anytime we get an idea or something, we'll put it into a well,
Yeah.
which is just like a little document on our laptop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we were first approached to write a Christmas movie back in 2018,
That's what it was.
we actually went and looked at the well, and that's where we had the idea for A Very Nighty Christmas.
Which started off with candy canes, by the way.
Yeah,
Did it now?
Yeah.
it did.
That's fine.
Well, I'm giving you Liz Donatelli and Bob Humbug to stick into
All
the
right.
well, and feel free
Right.
to pull,
And
pull them.
sugar cookies.
and sugar
And
cookies.
sugar cookies. Sugar cookies are
And
good.
I really think Mrs. Claus Matchmaking Company, I think there's potential there.
I do too.
I'm just saying. I'm just,
I
and
like
you have my blessing.
Uh,
All I want is an acknowledgement in the back of the book.
You got
Yes,
it.
we're
you got
good.
it. And a character named Liz Donatelli.
That's all I asked for. It's not.
That's
love.
not, we can do that.
It's not love. Well, it has been a delight chatting with both of you, Juliet
Likewise.
and Keith.
Thank
you so much. Yeah, thank you for joining me here on Reader Seeks Romance.
We had so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.